Welcome back. The U.S. House of Representatives is debating whether to impeach President Donald Trump ahead of a vote. The president is accused of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress related to his dealings with Ukraine. Now let's head off to our London studios now. Here's Salman Pusey with Around the World in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. The US President Donald Trump is set to be impeached in a vote in the House of Representatives. He is accused of pressuring Ukraine for personal gain and obstructing the impeachment process. If the vote passes, it will mean Mr. Trump becomes the third person in US history to be impeached after Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton. In theory, this could see him removed from office, although it's unlikely as it would need a two-thirds majority vote in the Republican-controlled chamber. Ahead of Wednesday's vote, Trump wrote a 6-page letter to rail against the process and denounced Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic Speaker of the House. That letter was released at the same time protests in support of impeachment were held in cities across the US, including New York, Boston and Los Angeles.
The President of the United States endangered our national security. The President undermined our democracy. And the President, a successor to the same office as George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, betrayed his oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. These aren't opinions. These are uncontested facts. The evidence is as clear as it is overwhelming. If a president undermining our national security and using the federal government for his own selfish personal gain is not impeachable conduct, then, Madam Speaker, I don't know what is. This is a democracy-defining moment. History will judge us by whether we keep intact that fragile republic handed down to us by our forebears more than 200 years ago.
The UK's Labour Party pursued a path of almost comic indecision over Brexit during the election and alienated both sides of the debate. That's according to the party's former leader, Tony Blair. In a speech in London, he said the party would have done much better in the election under a different leadership. Labour's most successful election winner claimed Jeremy Corbyn's brand of quasi-revolutionary socialism had failed and warned the party needs to change course fast or risk disappearing as a political force.
The choice for Labour is to renew itself as the serious, progressive, non-conservative competitor for power in British politics, or retreat from such an ambition, in which case it will be replaced. That is how stark, harsh, difficult, but true the choice is. And the choice is now.
A Japanese court has ordered a high-profile TV reporter to pay 3.3 million yen, or $30,000 in damages, to a journalist who accused him of rape. Shiori Ito alleged that she was raped in 2015 while she was unconscious. Prosecutors said there was not enough evidence for a criminal case, so Miss Ito brought a civil case. She has since become a symbol of the Me Too movement in a country where people rarely report sexual assault. But in a news conference hours later, Noriyuki Yamaguchi said he planned to appeal, and he again denied the rape allegations. A 14-year-old middle school student has fatally shot a classmate in front of his classroom in central Thailand. The shooter, whose name was not given, told police that the deceased was constantly bullying him and picking for a fight with him. The gun used in the crime was stolen from his father. McDonald's has shut all of its restaurants in Peru for 2 days of mourning after 2 of its employees died. The 2 teenage employees were electrocuted while cleaning the kitchen of McDonald's in Pueblo Libre, a district in the capital Lima. McDonald's Peru tweeted, "We wish to announce that we have declared 2 days of mourning from this morning, during which all our restaurants nationwide will remain closed." The company said it was cooperating fully with the authorities investigating the deaths and offered support to their families. Dutch farmers have blocked a motorway with tractors in protest against government plans to limit nitrogen emissions. The Dutch government said in October it would spend hundreds of millions of euros to mitigate nitrogen emissions after the country's highest court ruled that the way Dutch farmers and builders dealt with nitrogen emissions breached European law. The government said it would offer subsidies to farmers who are either willing to give up their business or want to invest in limiting their emissions. And finally, Australia has experienced its hottest day on record, with the national average temperature reaching a high of 40.9 Celsius. The Bureau of Meteorology said extensive heat on Tuesday exceeded the previous record of 40.3 Celsius, set on the 7th of January 2013. Taking the average of maximum temperatures across the country is the most accurate measure of a heat wave. The record comes as the nation battles a severe drought and bushfire crisis. Forecasters had predicted the most intense heat would come later in the week, meaning the record could be broken once again. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Thanks a lot, Simon. That is hot. Well, we'll move on to sports now. Here's Ayotunde Balogun.
We start off with football. 9 games produced 15 goals in match day 9 of the Nigeria Professional Football League played this evening across the country. League leaders Plateau United strengthened their grip at the top of the league table after forcing host Rangers International to a goalless draw at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium in Enugu. The Jos-based team now have 18 points from 9 league games. Warri Wolves picked their second win of the season following a 1-0 victory against Wiki Tourist. In other league games, Abia Warriors beat Jigawa Golden Stars. Akwa United edged out Rivers United. In Spain, FC Barcelona and Real Madrid this evening played out a goalless and largely uneventful El Clasico at the Camp Nou. Gareth Bale's disallowed goal was the closest either side came to scoring, but Real left-back Ferland Mendy was judged to be offside in the build-up. The result sees defending champions Barca stay top of La Liga with Real second on goal difference. Both clubs are now 5 points clear of Sevilla, who lost to Villarreal on Sunday. The 179th La Liga meeting between these sides was originally scheduled for October the 26th, but was postponed because of fears of civil unrest in Catalonia. English Premier League clubs Liverpool, Chelsea and Tottenham are among a host of clubs monitoring Lille and Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen. But the Nigeria international is expected to stay at the French club for the rest of the season unless the French club side receive a January offer that is too good to refuse. The 20-year-old is said to be happy at Lille, and his priority is to help them secure qualification to next year's Champions League while continuing to develop his game. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. That's sports news. It's back to you, John.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The Supreme Court, in a sweeping judgment today, affirmed the electoral victories of the governors of Oyo, Ogun, Kaduna, Katsina, Akwa Ibom, Nasarawa and Lagos states. The Apex Court dismissed the appeals of their closest challengers, mostly for lacking in merit. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thanks so much for staying with us. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Do have a good night.